As motorsports go, few if any are harder on the parts in the cars than drag racing. To get the most out of any engine requires pushing them to the edge of destruction. As video games go, this element is probably best represented by the default vehicles and parts in the game BeamNG.drive. I've pushed the limits with most of these cars over the past year or so and have built the quickest quarter-mile versions I could of each of them. In the real world, just about every 4, 5, 6, or 7 second run down the racetrack is followed by some type of maintenance, up to and sometimes including engine or transmission changes or rebuilds. With BeamNG, a blown engine or an entirely obliterated race car can be remedied by the press of a button. But what if we couldn't do that so easily? Would the quickest car still be the quickest if there was some consequence to burning the wick too fast? I plan to find out in the most fun and interesting way that I could think of. Hello everybody, welcome to BeamNG's West Coast USA for the first stages of the Shifts&Giggles drag and drive. Using 10 of the game's quickest unmodded drag cars and starting at the West Coast Lighthouse, I'll drive each of the cars across a map, making 6 1/8 mile timed hits before finishing at the drag strip with the quickest average time winning the event. Once I fired up each of the cars and pull out of the Lighthouse parking lot, there will be no more tuning, repairing, or resetting, and the engines will be kept running in between each stage. If you want to build any of these cars for yourself, you can. The entire builds are in the recent fastest drag car series here on the channel. I'll be using those very same builds here today, but each car is now fitted with maximum 28 by 10 inch Grip All Pro drag slicks from Mio's Drag Parts. These offer the best grip for the unprepped street stages and didn't require hours of retuning the cars. The only tuning changes for the cars besides the tires are reduced RPM limits and nitrous flow for engine life and conservation. If you enjoy this and find it interesting, hit that thumbs up to tell YouTube this is some good shit. If this is the kind of stuff you're into, subscribe to the channel for more. We're creeping up on 1,000 subs here, and it would be great if this series is the one that takes the channel across that milestone. With all that out of the way, let's get right into it with the first 2 stages of the West Coast Drag and Drive. Coming out first is the 5.0's best, the Bastion. Fitted with a 6.5 liter V8, twin turbos and nitrous, this thing can make over 2100 horsepower with a quarter-mile tune-up capable of running mid 7 second elapsed times, nearing 190 miles per hour. Overall, the Bastions are the easiest to set up and mostly go straight no matter what you do with them or where, so I expect this to be a pretty decent benchmark for everything else that follows. The Bastion covering the refinery stage in 5.06 seconds to put the first number on the board. Like I said, easy to set up, easy to drive. That was a pretty undramatic start. Just on the other end of the tunnel, we find ourselves on the bridge in stage number 2. Bastion slows to a 5.334 on the bridge, giving it an average of 5.197 after the first 2 stages. To have enough nitrous to make 6 hits, I turned it off immediately after the finish line cones. It's possible I made that pass with it turned off. Okay, so now you see how this works. As I take the Bastion to the highway in the next 2 stages, we'll go back to the Lighthouse in our next car. The always badass Moonhawk. Packing a 448 cubic inch V8 supercharged on nitrous and quarter-mile trim, this car makes over 2400 horsepower and is among the quickest cars in the game no matter what the combination. without the use of any game mods at all, this car is running the 6-second zone at more or less 200 miles per hour at each track I've taken it to so far. Given all that, it has to be considered a favorite here if it lasts until the end. Let's see what sort of a number it can lay down here to start things off. Moonhawk runs a 4.912 past the refinery and into the number 1 spot. I'm sure it could go quicker with some tuning. It doesn't exactly hook up as well as you would like, but nice enough pass nonetheless. Let's see if we can follow that up on the bridge. Making sure the nitrous is on. Here we go. The Moonhawk goes a 4.978 across the bridge and holds the number 1 spot with a 4.945 average so far. But the car nosed over a little mid-track. And what we're seeing here is not tire smoke. With 4 more passes yet to go, you're going to have to tune in next video to see how this plays out for the Moonhawk. This video is going back to the lighthouse, and we'll check out the Gavril Burnside that I long ago affectionately nicknamed Porky. This piggy packs a 423 cubic inch V8 supercharged on nitrous and makes 1878 horsepower in peak quarter-mile trim. One of the more fun cars to drive, this thing will twist itself into mid 7-second elapsed times, nearing 190 miles per hour on the drag strip. On the street here today, if I don't crash or blow it up, it might be a pretty competitive. Did not expect that. Flirting with disaster, Porky puts up the slowest of the bunch so far, a 5.827. It hooked better than any of the cars yet. It will be interesting to see what it can do if it makes a full hit. There should be plenty enough room on the bridge for it to do just that. Porky runs a stout 5.081 on stage 2 for an average of 4.454 so far. That run looked pretty good, but we're looking at beyond the finish line cones, does not. It looks to me like there's some bacon burning a bit there, and we'll have to see next time if the Burnside is able to make it through the next stages. Our next car to hit the streets is the Civetta Bolide. Sporting a 3.9-liter V8 with twin turbos and nitrous, this little Italian sports car packs almost 1700 horsepower in quarter-mile drag racing trim. On the drag strips, it's capable of mid-sevens at nearly 200 miles per hour. While most of the cars here today are fitted with a 4-speed automatic drag transmission, the Bolide uses a 5-speed manual transmission. So it'll be interesting to see how or if it can survive a series of screaming clutch dumps. Screaming clutch dump number 1 results in a 5.378 for the Civetta Bolide, good enough for 3rd so far. Lots of grip out there for the Bolide. I think the manual gear changes really hold it back. Let's see how it does moving onto the bridge. Bolide runs a fairly consistent 5.422 for a 2-stage average of 5.400. While it's the slowest of the 4 cars we've seen so far in performance potential, it doesn't appear to be any worse for wear so far, so we'll have to see how this plays out in the long run. Coming out next has got to be one of, if not the favorite to win this whole thing. It's the brutally quick Civetta Scintilla. This thing is using a 5-liter V8, twin turbos, and nitrous, makes over 2400 horsepower and quarter-mile trim. How quick is this thing? On the drag strip, this car has run deep into the mid 6-second zone at over 226 miles per hour in the quarter-mile. Unlike the older Bolide, its gears are shifted near seamlessly through a 6-speed sequential transmission. The Scintilla runs a 4.917, not the quickest of the stage, but good enough for the best average at least for the moment. That thing was all over the place. Keeping it out of trouble might be the key to surviving 5 more stages. Alright, let's see what we have for the bridge stage. The Scintilla steps it up with a 4.882, setting a leading average of 4.899 through 2 stages. The car doesn't seem to be any worse for wear, so this one might be tough to beat if this continues. Next up we have the Gavril Barstow. With a 423 cubic inch V8 supercharged on nitrous, the Barstow makes nearly 1900 horsepower in quarter-mile race trim. Using a soft launch setup, this thing is capable of low 7-second, nearly 190 mile per hour performances on the drag strips. The soft launches are accomplished by holding off on the nitrous until halfway through first gear in order to not flip the car over. How this works on the street is anybody's guess. I would say that worked pretty good as the Barstow runs a decent 5.138 to land in the number 3 spot after one hit. No drama with this thing, straight down the lane. Let's see what it has for the bridge. The Barstow steps up and runs a 5.085, improving to a 5.111 second average through 2 stages. That's 2 nice strong passes, and from what I can tell, no engine damage so far. Next out is a classic Uber killer, the Gavril Bluebuck. The Bluebuck is fitted with a 423 cubic inch V8 supercharged on nitrous and makes nearly 1800 horsepower and quarter-mile racing trim. While trying to twist itself into a knot, this car is capable of mid-7 second 180 mile per hour blast down the drag strip. Given its tendency to want to turn right on the launch, I would have to be careful not to launch it towards the light post like I did with the Burnside earlier. A little bit of tire spin, but the Bluebuck still runs a 5.069, good enough for the number 3 spot so far. That tire spin likely kept the front end down enough to keep things relatively straight. If it can hold together, this one might be one of the contenders here. Let's see what it has for the bridge. Another nice pass at a 5.032 gives the Bluebuck a 2-run average of 5.050 and a very respectable 3rd place so far. The best news here again, no death smoke. So we'll have to see if that plays into things next episode. Now we have BeamNG's fastest truck, the Gavril D-Series. The D-Series packs a 6.9 liter V8, is supercharged on nitrous, and makes over 2,000 horsepower in quarter-mile racing trim. On a drag strip, the pickup launches hard and carries its mass of 4,000 pounds down the track to mid-7 second passes at nearly 180 miles per hour. Here today on the street, that weight might not be as much of a disadvantage as it normally is. D-Series runs a refinery stage of 5.286 seconds, and that's only good enough for 6th place so far. I think the truck might have benefited from a little extra tuning to take advantage of its normally superior grip, but it is what it is. Let's see what we can do on the bridge for stage 2. That was a nice improvement. The D-Series running a 5.229 on the bridge for a 5.257 second 2 average run so far. Not the quickest here today, but it hasn't started hurting itself, and this is about making 6 good hits, not just 2. Back to the lighthouse and our second taxi cab today. This is the Gavril Grand Marshal. The Grand Marshal runs a supercharged 6.9 liter V8 that will blow itself to bits if you so much as put a nitrous sticker on the car, let alone to try and run it through the engine. In quarter-mile racing trim, that's still capable of making over 800 horsepower. And on the drag strip, this thing will put up mid-7 second, nearly 190 mile per hour passes. How close to the breaking point this engine is while running like that is yet to be seen. This should be a pretty good test of that. Grand Marshal runs a refinery stage of 5.061 seconds, and that's good for third best average so far. Sort of an ugly car, at least with the faded taxi paint job, but that pass looked pretty. We've seen a few cars improve on the bridge, and there's no nitrous to forget with this one, so let's see if this thing can put itself in contention. That'll do it, a 4.939 and a 2-run average of 5 seconds flat. That's right there with the now hurting Moonhawk, and not all that far behind the Scintilla. Okay, the last car to hit the streets today is the Ibishu 200BX. This sporty little thing comes with a tiny 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged on nitrous and makes just under 1500 horsepower in quarter-mile racing trim. And while the 200BX might not sound all that impressive on paper, it's recently proven it's plenty capable of running with the big boys, putting up a low 7-second, 190 plus mile per hour quarter-mile blast at Bradenton Motorsports Park. The big question mark for me with the manual transmission cars is how many of these clutch dumps are going to survive. The final pass at the refinery is a 5.257, tying it with the D-Series pickup truck for number 7 so far. You can see in the replay that wheelie bar isn't on there for looks. This car wants to wheelie just about every gear. Moving to the bridge for our final pass of the day. Another improvement on the bridge, the 200BX runs a 5.200 to set a 5.228 average and finished the first episode of the West Coast Drag and Drive in 7th place. It might be one of the slower cars here so far, but the important part is that the car and engine are still in good shape and anything can happen over the next 4 stages. And as all the cars move on to the next couple stages, I'll save the results of those until next time. If you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up before you leave if you haven't already. Until next time, keep it in your own damn lane.